Can you imagine that the person you've been living with for years, the one you love with all your heart, isn't actually human at all, but instead an extraterrestrial predator, one that steals your face, your memories, even your entire existence, and then stands right in front of you? Today's story is about one such terrifying journey, where the line between love and horror disappears forever. And believe me, its final twist will leave you stunned. The camera slowly moves deeper into a dense and terrifying forest. An eerie silence hangs everywhere. Then our eyes fall upon a strange deer, one with only a single horn on its head. It wanders carelessly through the forest, completely unaware that something alive is lurking right behind it in the darkness. A long, trunk-like, horrifying thing sways slowly in the air, and the very next moment, it strikes the deer like lightning. The poor deer doesn't even get a chance to react, and the mysterious creature wraps itself around it. At the same time, the story shifts toward Ruth and Harry. The two are sitting in their car having fun, singing songs, laughing as they drive toward the same area where that mysterious thing had fallen from the sky some time ago. On the way, they stop at a small roadside diner. Everything seems perfectly normal, but then a strange little boy comes and stands near them. There was an odd fear in his eyes. In a soft voice, he starts talking about a red star that had fallen from the sky. Harry laughs after hearing him. He thinks the child is simply making up stories. Just then, the boy's mother quickly takes him away, as if she doesn't want her son to say anything more. Harry brushes it off as a joke and moves on. A few hours later, the two finally reach their destination, Red Ridge Trail. Harry was extremely excited about the trip, but a strange uneasiness was clearly visible on Ruth's face. She softly says, "I like the ocean more than mountains. This silence here scares me somehow." Harry smiles and holds her hand. He reassures her that he has been here before, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Ruth gives a faint smile, and then the two begin walking deeper into the forest. Throughout the journey, Harry tries to lighten the mood. He tells funny stories from his childhood. They laugh, talk about old memories, but Ruth keeps getting distracted. Again and again, she feels as though someone is watching them from behind the trees, as if an unknown shadow is constantly following them. By evening, they set up a tent in one spot. Sitting beside the firelight, they eat food, talk, and for a few moments, everything feels beautiful and romantic. But around 2 a.m, Ruth suddenly wakes up. There was deep silence everywhere. Harry was sleeping soundly. Ruth quietly picks up a lantern and steps outside the tent. A cold wind was blowing, and in the darkness, only the faint light of her lantern remained. Then her eyes land on an animal standing far away, and the moment she sees it, a chill runs through her entire body. It was the same one-horned deer. It stood perfectly still, its eyes lifeless, as if there was no soul left inside it. Ruth's scream gets stuck in her throat. Suddenly, someone places a hand on her shoulder from behind. Ruth jumps in terror, but it was Harry. With a trembling voice, she points toward the deer. But when Harry looks there is only darkness, nothing at all. Harry hugs her and explains that maybe she got scared after seeing a bad dream. The next morning, Harry takes Ruth to the top of a beautiful hill to cheer her up. Far below, the endless blue ocean looked breathtaking. The atmosphere was perfect. Then suddenly, Harry kneels down in front of her. There was genuine love in his eyes. He says, "In these 6 years, you've changed my life, Ruth, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Saying that, he pulls out a ring from his pocket. But the moment that should have been beautiful suddenly turns terrifying. Ruth's breathing becomes rapid. She starts suffocating. Her entire body begins trembling. She suffers a horrible panic attack. Harry panics. Ruth quickly takes out her medicines and swallows them with shaking hands. After a while, her breathing returns to normal. With tears in her eyes, she apologizes to Harry. But on that beautiful hilltop, silence and fear now feel stronger than love. As soon as the proposal falls apart, an argument begins between them. Ruth tries to explain that she loves Harry, but she's afraid of the institution of marriage. She believes relationships change with time. People change. But Harry's heart was already broken. During the argument, he says something that deeply hurts Ruth. He brings up her parents' divorce. That's it. That one thing fills Ruth with anger. A bitter argument breaks out between them, and Harry storms away in frustration. By evening, Ruth falls asleep. But when she wakes up, an even heavier silence surrounds the tent. Harry wasn't there. Only a small note lay nearby. It said that he had gone for a walk to calm himself down. In panic, Ruth tries calling her therapist, but there was almost no network in the forest. Searching for a signal, she wanders alone deeper into the woods. Suddenly, her phone catches a signal, and it starts ringing. But the moment a voice speaks from the other side, the color drains from Ruth's face. Terrified, she immediately disconnects the call. While returning, her eyes fall upon a tree. Some strange black, sticky substance was smeared on it. Ruth slowly moves closer, and in the very next moment, the ground seems to slip beneath her feet. The same one-horned deer was lying there, but this time, it was dead. Its head was horribly split open from the middle, and its entire body was covered in that mysterious black substance. Ruth screams in terror. Just then, Harry arrives from behind. He tries to calm her down, but when Ruth says, "This is the same deer she saw at night," Harry once again dismisses it as her imagination. According to him, there could be many similar-looking deer in such a huge forest. That night, after returning to the tent, Harry tries searching through books for some scientific explanation behind the deer's death. Slowly, the atmosphere starts calming down. Then the two once again begin talking about their relationship. Holding Harry's hand lovingly, Ruth says, "I don't want to lose you. I'm just scared that everything will change after marriage." But they had absolutely no idea that something existed in this forest, something that was not only going to consume their relationship, but their entire identity. The atmosphere the next morning was completely different from the previous night. A cold breeze was blowing, soft rays of sunlight filtered through the trees onto the ground. Ruth went for a walk alone in the forest. Perhaps she wanted to calm the fear inside her mind. While walking, she notices some beautiful yellow flowers. Seeing them, a faint smile appears on her face after a long time. She thinks, maybe she should pick one for Harry, but the moment she bends down, her eyes land on a dark cave nearby. Deep darkness filled the cave, but within that darkness, some blue light kept flashing repeatedly. Ruth stands there for a few moments. There was fear in her heart, but curiosity too. Eventually, her feet begin moving toward the cave on their own. As she goes deeper inside, the air becomes heavier. Inside the cave, some strange blue sticky liquid was spread across the ground. Ruth picks up a nearby stick and slowly tries touching the substance. But then, she feels someone's presence right behind her. Something that wasn't human. Her entire body freezes in fear. Her breathing almost stops. And then the screen cuts away. Sometime later, Harry arrives in the forest searching for her. Ruth stands there, completely silent. Her eyes look empty, as though she is trapped in deep shock. Harry nervously asks, "Ruth, are you okay?" Ruth slowly looks at him and says only this, "I was just thinking about something." But something inside her had changed now. She was no longer the same Ruth who had walked out of the tent that morning. The way she walked had changed. Her silence felt strange, and whenever Harry turned back to look at her, she would simply give him a cold, lifeless smile. That night, horror finally revealed its true form. In the middle of the night, Harry suddenly wakes up. He notices Ruth isn't inside the tent. Panicking, he rushes outside. Dense darkness surrounded everything. Then, someone slowly comes and stands behind him in the dark. Harry turns around, and his blood runs cold. It was Ruth, but in her hand was a shining, sharp knife, and there was a strange emptiness in her eyes, as if someone else had taken control of her body. For a few moments, they simply stare at each other. Harry's breathing grows faster, but suddenly Ruth's face returns to normal. With a faint smile, she says, "I heard some animal outside, so I brought the knife." Calmly, she hands the knife to Harry, but now fear had settled inside Harry's mind. Neither of them slept that night. The next morning, the atmosphere was unbearably heavy. To break the silence, Harry deliberately starts talking about ordinary things. He talks about the future, about a home, about a life they could spend together. Then suddenly Ruth softly says, "Sorry, about last night." Harry looks at her, and then Ruth says something Harry never expected. She says, "Maybe I was wrong about marriage. We're not like my parents. If you still want to, I want to marry you." Harry stares at her silently for a few moments. Relief and happiness began to clearly show on her face, but there was still that same strange silence in Ruth's eyes. as if she were hiding something inside. After a while, the story returns to the top of that same hill, where earlier their relationship had nearly fallen apart. This time there was a faint sense of happiness in the air. Smiling, Ruth tells Harry to propose to her again, in the exact same way, at the exact same spot. Without wasting a second, Harry drops to one knee. He confesses his love once again, and this time, Ruth smiles and says, "Yes." The two embrace each other tightly. For a moment, it feels as if all their troubles are finally over. But this was only the calm before the storm. The very next moment, Ruth's expression suddenly changes. The love vanishes from her eyes, and without any warning, she violently pushes Harry. Harry falls straight off the high cliff into the gorge below. His body crashes against the rocks as he tumbles down. Within seconds, everything becomes silent. Harry lay below, covered in blood, completely lifeless. Ruth doesn't look back even once. She starts running toward the forest like a madwoman. Fear, exhaustion, and shock had completely destroyed her condition. Before she could even make it out of the forest, her body gives up, and she collapses unconscious onto the ground. When Ruth opens her eyes, two unfamiliar trekkers are standing in front of her, Ray and Viv. They give her water and ask what happened to her. But Ruth's mind had gone numb. She only says, "I don't remember anything." Ray and Viv take her into their tent. They feed her and try to calm her down. But Viv senses something strange. She keeps asking questions. "Were you here alone? Where's your stuff? Why are you so scared?" But Ruth's attention was somewhere else. Her eyes were fixed on a sharp knife lying inside the tent. The moment Ray and Viv get distracted, Ruth lunges forward, grabs the knife, and points it at them. Viv steps back in terror, but then a shadow appears at the entrance of the tent. It was Harry, completely alive and completely unharmed. The color drains from Ruth's face when she sees him. Panicked, Viv asks, "Who is that?" But instead of answering, Ruth signals Viv to run away, and she herself bolts toward the forest. Viv runs after her. Meanwhile, Ray tries to stop Harry. But what happens next is beyond human understanding. A long, razor-sharp blade suddenly emerges from Harry's finger. In the blink of an eye, he slices off Ray's hand, and in the very next second, splits his face into two pieces. Blood splatters everywhere. Now it was clear, this was not human. This was the same alien predator that had hunted the one-horned deer at the beginning. On the other side of the forest, Viv catches up to Ruth. In a trembling voice, she asks, "Who exactly is he?" Crying, Ruth finally reveals the truth. That's not Harry. At that very moment, Ray's horrifying scream echoes through the forest. Viv's heart sinks. She starts running back. Ruth tries to stop her, but it was already too late. When Viv arrives there, the ground seems to vanish beneath her feet. Ray's body lay split into two halves, and before Viv can escape, the alien attacks her too. Within seconds, Viv is dead as well. Now Ruth was the only one left alive in the forest. The alien slowly advances toward her. Its bloody blade glints in the air. Then in a deep voice it asks, "How did you discover the truth about me?" And then the story takes us into a flashback of what truly happened inside the cave. When Ruth had entered the cave, she found the real Harry's corpse there. His body was covered in the same blue, sticky substance. At that moment, Ruth realized that the person who had been traveling with her all these days was not Harry, but an alien imposter who had stolen his face and memories. After this truth comes out, sadness appears on the creature's face for the first time. It quietly admits that it is merely a scout from its world. It had been sent to Earth to gather information about humans and report back to its species. Then it looks at Ruth. Its blade slowly rises, as if it is about to finish her forever. But then, its hand begins to tremble. At that moment, the creature realizes something it had never imagined possible. While stealing the real Harry's memories and mind, it had also absorbed his emotions. It had genuinely fallen in love with Ruth. It lets out a scream of pain. For the first time, there was human emotion in its voice. Looking at Ruth, it says, "I don't want to hurt you. I love you." But for Ruth, this was not love. It was a horrifying curse. Terrified, she starts running away. On the way, she grabs a wooden stick and attacks the creature with all her strength, but it has no effect. The alien keeps following her, yet it doesn't hurt her. Then it says softly, "I want to show you something." After that, it drags Ruth across the forest to the seashore. and seeing the sight there, Ruth's breath stops. In the middle of the ocean, a gigantic spaceship was glowing. Its blue light spread across the water. A strange hum filled the air, as though the sky itself were announcing a great catastrophe. Looking into Ruth's eyes, the imposter says, "Very soon, a great disaster is coming to this world, and I want to take you with me and save you." Then it reveals another horrifying truth. It says, "I am only the beginning. Countless hunters like me are going to descend upon this earth, and when they arrive, nothing in this world will remain." Now Ruth understood that this monster could not be defeated by strength. Hiding her fear, she cleverly pretends to be interested in what it's saying. Slowly, she moves closer to it, as if she has accepted its words. But the very next moment, with lightning speed, Ruth snatches its knife and drives it into its chest with all her strength. The alien roars in agony. Ruth doesn't waste a single second. She immediately jumps into the raging ocean waves. The wounded alien dives into the water after her. It keeps screaming, "I'm trying to save you." But blood from its wound had already spread through the sea, and the scent of that blood had summoned death. Within seconds, a massive shark rushes toward it underwater. The next instant, it attacks the alien. The ocean turns red. Taking advantage of the bloody chaos, Ruth swims to the shore and runs breathlessly back toward the forest. She thinks, it's finally over. The shark must have killed that monster. But she was wrong. Inside the ocean, the alien tears the shark apart, and shortly afterward emerges from the water again. Meanwhile, Ruth's condition worsens as she runs through the forest. Her breathing becomes ragged. Then she spots Viv's tent ahead. Starving and exhausted, Ruth goes there looking for food. But the moment her eyes fall on the ground, her blood freezes. Ray's severed hand was lying there, completely drenched in blood. Seeing this horrifying scene, Ruth begins to lose her sanity. She suffers a terrible panic attack. Her breathing spirals out of control. With trembling hands, she pulls out her medicine container. Only one last pill remained inside. She quickly swallows it, trying to regain control of herself. But fate still wasn't done with her. Suddenly, from the darkness, a long, slimy tentacle shoots out and wraps around Ruth in midair. The creature wearing Harry's face comes close to her and whispers into her ear, "I was only trying to save you." After that, darkness consumes Ruth's vision. When she regains consciousness, she is once again inside that cursed cave. Her entire body is covered in the same black, sticky substance, exactly like the real Harry's corpse had been. The alien creature had connected its veins to Ruth's body. In an extremely sorrowful voice, it says, "Now I finally understand how to earn your love." In the very next moment, its body begins to transform. Within seconds, it becomes an exact copy of Ruth. Now there were two Ruths inside that cave, one real and one imposter. The alien Ruth looks coldly at the real Ruth and says, "I no longer need this original body." Slowly, it moves toward her to kill her. But staring death in the face, the real Ruth uses her greatest weapon, her mind. Looking directly into the alien Ruth's eyes, she attacks the fear hidden inside it, because the creature had taken Ruth's form. All of Ruth's emotions, fears, and suffocating pain now existed inside the alien too. Ruth screams, "You will never be worthy of anyone's love. You will always be alone." Those words become poison for the alien. Suddenly, it too begins suffering the same horrifying panic attack that Ruth had battled for years. It starts suffocating. It writhes desperately, searching for medicine. But the medicine had already run out. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the real Ruth frees herself. And then, for the first time, she releases the pain she had buried inside her for years. Crying, she screams, "I hate myself. I'm terrified that I'll become a failure just like my parents. And because of that fear, I push away every person who loves me." This emotional storm becomes unbearable for the alien. It collapses to its knees, begging for mercy. But Ruth knew. If she wasted this chance now, she would never escape alive. She grabs a heavy stone lying nearby and smashes it against the alien's head with all her strength. Once, then again and again. She keeps attacking until the imposter is completely destroyed. After that, Ruth runs out of the cave without looking back. Running through the trees, she finally reaches her car. Her hands are trembling. Her breathing is uncontrollable. She quickly starts the car and speeds down the road. Feeling the cold wind coming through the window, for the first time she feels that maybe everything is finally over. She survived. But then, the car radio suddenly crackles, and the cold voice of the alien Ruth echoes through it. "You can't escape from me, Ruth, and not from what is about to come into this world." Terrified, Ruth immediately switches off the radio and presses harder on the accelerator. But then her eyes drift toward the sky, and her soul trembles. Countless red stars were falling toward Earth, tearing through the black clouds. The entire sky seemed to be burning. Now it had become clear. This wasn't just the story of one alien. It was the beginning of the end of the human world, and with this horrifying sight, the tale comes to an end. If you enjoyed this mysterious and spine-chilling journey, be sure to like the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more terrifying and thrilling stories like this. See you again with another scary story. Until then, stay alert.